Time for D and D for tea, tea for D, coffee for me, but not after 3. So, let's check the time. Maybe it's tea time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Time for D or Tea, depending on how you pronounce it. D in Dutch is actually thee and means tea. There you go, that's the whole setup of this sub-series on coffee, critical coffee considerations with me, Francis Peck. So in this sub-series it cannot always be coffee, of course, so we're dedicating some time to tea as well. And now the same goes for tea as for coffee. You really need very good quality water to get those flavors to put them in, let's say, a palace of flavor. I have here some tea from Palais de Thé, which I actually got for free when I bought a pack of tea for Michael Vlerick that I interviewed on the podcast series about happiness and genetics. So back then I got these 3 teas to actually try out. So this this is already quite some time ago, but it shows just how much tea I actually drink. Now, why did I opt for the Brita Cube, the B Cube, not to be confused with B Cubed, the European project that I work on around data cubes for biodiversity analysis. Sorry, I'm drifting a little bit away. So did the unboxing here, and now I'm ready to, let me just show you the switch here on the back. So first time plugging that in, and we're getting a whole interface. That's a very nice looking interface, actually, a lot of information, and it seems to be standard in the setting of being locked. So I would hope, yes, exactly, that's how that works. So I was actually reusing the Brita filter. I have many standing somewhere around there for use, of course, to make a lot of water, to make nice beverages here in my coffee laboratory. So let's see, just pushing the button, and the one treatment is doing its UVC, so it's irradiating it with a little bit of ultraviolet C light. So this does some kind of cleansing, you could say. So we're getting a regular cup out of it this way, not heated. So I can actually add here, this should be around half a liter. Of course, I'm not going to do this because then this cup would overflow. Now, if you're working with half a liter or bigger device, of course, you might want to do this, or even remove this if you have like a thermos you want to fill up. Now, the nice thing is you're not only getting this filtered water, with the filter you can put here in the back, but you can also just as easily say how heated up you want it. So you have, that is exactly right, you have 4 positions to do that. So let's give it a first try. So this should already be a little bit hotter, and you see the flow rate is actually slower to accommodate for that. This is, I'm going to risk it. This is, yes, okay, I'm not burning my finger with this, so that's it. It switches a little bit. Interesting how it's not constantly exactly heating it up when you're doing that. But so that first position, I guess it felt around maybe 30. That would be probably 45, and then I think 60, and then maybe 95. Of course, why should we just be guessing? We shouldn't be second guessing. Here we have all those settings, and you see it is really targeting tea here. Green tea you would do at 65 degrees, white tea 85, black tea 85, 95. So if we actually go to the top setting is 95, which of course we can also do when we want to brew a coffee. If you get it in our container, let it just cool down a few seconds, that should be then around 92, perfect temperature for your coffee brew. So that's the highest setting. Then we have the setting at 85, we should have one at 65, and I guess, okay, here it is. So ambient, we actually jump to 45, 65, 85. So first jumps are 20 degrees, and then you have a 10-degree jump. And so it's also showing it here for that volume. So first one is 150 milliliter. You might do an AeroPress already with 150 milliliter or 250 milliliter. Give you a little bit of spare of, you know, preheating the AeroPress, also cleaning the paper filter. You know, we have options to make this work for, of course, to make this work for coffee as well. But we're not here. Actually, it's nice. It just switches around. So do we have? This is a black tea. Here we have a green tea. So let's go for that green tea, nice green tea with jasmine flavors. And so if we follow the instructions, that should be at 65 degrees, which means that should be at that second position. So there we go, heating it up 65 degrees. The time, recommended temperatures and brewing times for green tea would then be a minute to 3 minutes, which is nice. It means you can, you know, consume your beverage quickly. For white tea at 85 degrees, you're 1 to 2 minutes. A black tea 85 to 95 degrees, 4 to 5 minutes. You know, you're really getting a steeper extraction there, and you know, black tea, it does bring up more bitter flavors in my recollection. Oolong tea, same temperature but a little bit less than the black tea. You would only do 3 minutes. And for fruit tea, I mean, they say fruit tea or herbal tea, but actually, you know, you shouldn't be calling them teas. There are infusions, just like you can actually do an infusion with coffee leaves, which, you know, we call it coffee tea then, but in truth, that's an infusion. Although that one does have also a little bit of caffeine, you know. So depending on how you think about things, you might then also consider that a true tea. Let's put it this way. Yes, the coffee leaves can be a true alternative for tea. So after just a little while, this then goes back into the locked position. Of course, I went here for the smallest dose, basically in my cup, or I already actually finished the water I prepared. So let's have a taste analysis. Always fun, you know. If you're drinking that much coffee and doing experiments, it just becomes second nature, smelling and tasting. And so they would say jasmine flowers, and it is very flowery. Do pick up a little bit of citrus. You know, I don't want to heavily drink this because I didn't really clean the container there. But very soft, mellow, a little bit of that citrus flavor. You know, that's a nice tea. Temperature could be a little bit hotter, so maybe I would put it even on a higher temperature position. So this is for the introduction of the Brita Cube, and I'm happy to now have this here in my coffee shop. So I'm not only offering the espressos here with the Gaggia, roasting the coffee for you on demand, exactly to that point between two cracks where you love your coffee the most. You know, if it's past 11, past 2, whenever you stop drinking coffee, you're also welcome to, you know, enjoy a very nice tea. And it just takes a second basically to get your cup started, so you can enjoy that. So thanks for following this episode of Time for D, and hope to see D here in the near future or on the next episode online. Thank you.